everyone, welcome back to another full moon collective reading. Today we do have a full moon in the sign of Libra in Western astrology. I definitely tend to take influence from both astrological systems, whether it's Western or Vedic, but just, so it won't be so confusing. I have recently just adapted to the Western signs for these full moon and new moon updates. I felt inspired to come and do our reading outside today. It's such a gorgeous morning, sunshiny, breezy, just right, and I wanted to take advantage of this beautiful weather before it gets blazing hot later. So yeah, you guys, happy full moon. I hope you're all doing well. I'm super excited to see what this full moon energy is bringing us. I hope the reflection of the fan there isn't too distracting. So our last new moon cycle, we had that Aries energy. We talked about that Aries energy being all about self, focusing on the self, your wants, your needs, being in a position to be able to fulfill those things for yourself, getting yourself to a position where you're strong, where you're clear about what your boundaries are, about what your morals are, your values, and staying true to yourself about that. Because when we take the time to really focus on ourselves, on what our needs are, and how to go about meeting those needs for ourselves, we are in an optimal position to connect with others, because I think the greatest advice that anybody could ever give regarding relationships is never to enter a relationship from a place of need or from a place of lack. You want to be in a really strong position, in a place where you know yourself, you know what you're about, you know what your morals are, you know what your boundaries are, what your limits are, you stay true to those. A place where you're fully strong and complete and solid and whole all on your own, so that you're not coming into union or coming into a relationship looking to fill some kind of a void, because then that's when we can run into issues, right? So with this full moon being in Libra, the focus now goes from self and independence to cooperation and coming together, and how we can do so in a way that's going to be cooperative, recognizing that relationships are necessary. While it's really important for us to know how to be on our own, to be independent, we quickly realize that two is better than one. Working in teams and having relationships is part of the human experience, community, and like I mentioned, cooperation. This is very important and can bring on a better, quality of experience when you're able to cohesively come together, harmoniously come together, and share that experience with others. So we do need to learn how to be in relationship, that Aries influence. We need to be able to take accountability for ourselves, take responsibility for our own things, for what we need to take responsibility for when it comes to ourselves. Because when you have that foundation, stepping into a relationship is easy, because you're a solid person all on your own and you take accountability. You can more easily recognize when something is not yours to carry, when sure, you can support people through their issues, but you do also have to hold them accountable. It's kind of having those boundaries and maintaining them, even when you want to be supportive and cooperative and compromise and work together with others. It's having that solid foundation of self and strength of self, and just being really confident in who you are. When you can meet someone else in relationship or others in relationship and allow them that same grace, allow them the same space to make their own decisions, to choose for themselves, what they believe is the best, and to respect them, where you guys can kind of agree to disagree if it's needed. So, when you're able to show up for yourself in these ways and take responsibility in these ways, then you're able to kind of give that space for others to do the same. And then you're not going to be taking anything on that isn't yours to take on. You will hold people accountable, but you can do so in a way that is still supporting and loving and cooperative, and in a way that you always stay true to yourself. So, everything is always about balance. And this is what this full moon is really wanting us to take a look at in our lives, our relationships, because I think our relationships is a good reflection of, our relationship to self. So it's important, right now for you to kind of make connections. If you're having issues in relationships, see where is this stemming from and what can you do on your own independently to help the situation. Be willing to look in the mirror and to find your own deficits and your own lack and where it is that you need to work on potentially, you know, instead of always pointing the finger or blaming someone else for any, you know, dysfunction or misalignments. It's really being able to identify like, okay, what is my role here? Because I guarantee you, like, there's always something that you can do independently that is going to reflect in your like group relationships, you know, like one-on-one relationships or just relationships in general. So start noticing, you know, like when you're around a group of people or when you're around others, how do you feel? How does the energy exchange feel? Do you feel happy, uplifted, inspired, full of life? Or do you feel drained and stressed or just unsure, uneasy? You really want to take these cues because we live in a world with billions of people, and surely not everyone is going to get along, not everyone is going to vibe together. We're not all meant to, you know? You could be the nicest person, you could be a saint, you know, and there's still going to be people that don't vibe with you, don't get you, don't understand you, and that's okay. That's totally normal. So it's about kind of finding your people, finding your tribe by really taking those cues and feeling the energy, like how it is that you feel. So you know what you like, you know what feels supportive to you, and then you also know what doesn't feel so supportive and what doesn't feel so good. It's also a really good time to, you know, if you are having issues in a relationship or there is a situation that needs to be worked through between you and others, this is a good time to really come together, to sit down, to try to talk, come to an agreement, reconcile, be willing to hear someone's side, you know, from a neutral perspective, being able to see things from their shoes without judgment, being able to explain exactly how you feel from your perspective, how things are looking, and coming to some kind of like agreement or common ground. This is a really supportive time for that as well. But some astrologers are also really saying that this is a time where breakups can happen because, you know, it's like what I was saying earlier. It's you being able to take cues from how you feel after you interact with certain people. Do you feel good or do you not feel so good? And it's being honest with yourself. It's getting really honest with yourself about that, you know, about what it is that you're finding, and moving away from situations that are draining and that are not good for you, that you're not aligning with, you know? You're not supposed to feel tolerated. You're supposed to feel celebrated. And if there's a situation in your life where you're just not feeling that, it's okay to not give it a lot of your time and energy, you know? Hold up your boundaries, like when it comes to those people that you don't feel supported by. Right now is definitely not a time to people please or to try to get someone on your side, to convince people to, you know, like really want someone to like you. It's time to just be yourself and let things flow, and what's meant to be will align and what's not meant to be will not align. You know, it's that simple. So it's really just about like surrendering, having acceptance, doing what's best for both yourself and others. So yeah, you guys, it's definitely a very social moon. So get out there, you know, now is the time to connect, to talk, to vibe, you know, to go on those lunch dates, to go on walks, to make time for friends, for people that inspire you, that uplift you, that support you, that love you, that want to see you do good, for that, you know, give and take, reciprocal kind of relationship. And to really be able to experience the sweetness of connection and of relationship, whether it's between friends or romantic connections, it doesn't really matter. Just relationships in general is going to be a major focus as it pertains to this full moon in particular. So let's get into the tarot. I'm super excited to see what the tarot has to say. What is the energy for this full moon cycle in Libra for the collective? What is it that we should know right now, pay attention to? What is it that wants to be highlighted that's going to be beneficial for us during this time? Okay. You were mine. I have a song stuck in my head and I can't get it out. So, oh my God, look at this. The King and Queen of Cups. Beautiful. This is beautiful. already. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hold on, let me put these up so we can make sure you guys can see everything. I mean, look at this. This is powerful. So many court cards, and we have two major, I mean, they're all court cards, and two major arcanas, and then the rest court cards. Incredible. Okay. Let me pull a few oracle cards to get more insight into this energy. It's a beautiful energy, you guys. Wow. A lot of Jupiterian energy too. I wonder what Jupiter's doing. I didn't really get to see like any astrology, honestly. I've been so busy with personal readings. So if you're waiting on a personal from me, I am on time. Right now it is taking me the full 72 hours to get that reading back to you. But I really didn't want to miss this full moon reading because I love doing them. Okay, expand your consciousness and rest. Okay. Let me take a few from this deck. But yeah, a lot of Jupiterian energy here. So I'm wondering if Jupiter is having like a strong influence right now in the skies, astrologically speaking, because it is reflecting heavily in the cards. So we also have Speak Truth. And one more. And Get Curious. Okay. Hi. You can see my reflection. Okay, so let's take a look. This is such beautiful energy, you guys. I feel like things are really going to be expanding, moving forward, looking up. Like if you've been experiencing any kind of, stagnancy or limitation or feeling of restriction or, not knowing what's happening, like is anything coming in for you or any changes happening for you? Is anything coming in? Is there any opportunity for growth, for expansion? The answer is absolutely. This energy is so expansive. I feel like we're all going to just be feeling like we're having good luck, like maybe a lot of things are just going to be going really good for us. I see people just coming together and being very loving towards each other, very compassionate towards each other, very open too to like each other's creativity, to each other's ideas. And I feel like we're all going to feel very emotionally supported right now. If there's any like apologies that need to happen, like if there's a conversation that you've been needing to have or an apology that you've been waiting on or that you need to initiate, I see energy of that as well happening, coming through. If you are the one that needs to initiate, this would be a really beautiful time because I'm just sensing like this beautiful energy where people are just happy and more accepting and just more understanding and more compassionate. So right now would be a really good time to talk to people because I just feel like you guys are going to more easily want to meet on the same level. Like there's a real want, to just work things out and meet each other, and come to some sort of like conclusion, like peaceful resolution. And I feel that as a result of this type of energy, as it pertains, to yourself or to others, there's going to be a lot of peace, a lot of love, a lot of healing, giving people like what they need, whatever it is that someone expresses to you that is a need of theirs. It's like understanding that and being able to be self-contained and be very emotionally regulated and emotionally healthy and stable and mature, to not try to rush anybody through anything, but to just let people take their time, understand that everyone is on their own journey, going through their own things, and like we mentioned before, like really taking accountability for yourself and meeting your own needs by being very emotionally regulated and carrying what is yours to carry and coping with those things and learning healthy ways to work out like any internal struggles that you may be experiencing or any resistance that you may be having. Just really learning how to work through those things on your own, understanding that it's yours to carry, like understanding that it's not your fault. Like the things that have happened to you in your past that affect you isn't your fault. but it is your responsibility. So it's like taking responsibility for what's yours to take responsibility over, like creating that time and space for reflection, for going within, to know what is yours to carry, to know what is yours to work through, to understand and be compassionate with yourself. And when you can do that for yourself, you can do that for others. So it's like everyone is just very like responsible and compassionate. And so I feel like this is why this really expansive, supportive energy is present. It's really showing up here. And it's also like putting everything in its place, you know, like it's understanding that while yes, you know, you do have to get up in the morning and you do have to take actions, and there are certain things that you have to like physically do, and certain responsibilities and duties that you have to take on in this material world when it comes to like maintaining the things that you've built and moving towards your material success and being bold and being confident in what it is that you do and loving what you do, being in charge, large and in charge with what it is that your duties are. But it's kind of knowing that there's a time and place for everything. It's knowing that, yes, there's a time and place to get up, to make moves, to, you know, put on your boots and do what you have to do what you know is your responsibility, is your duty. But then there's also time where you need to slow down and where you need to rest and where you need to clear your mind and reflect and meditate and check in. Because I feel, especially here in the West, that's like a big thing where, you know, the hustle and bustle and always being busy and always having things to do and crushing that to-do list becomes so glamorized, and it becomes like that marker, that indication of like success. It is like, how much can you hustle? How much can you push? How much can you get out there and build? How much can you accumulate? How much can you grow? You know, it's all about the numbers, right? And what's not really ever like glamorized or encouraged, well, nowadays more so than before, but you know, is that energy of like slowing down, of taking a nap, you know, going for a stroll, going to nature, finding time for meditation and journaling, and to work on your emotional state and to be very clear with how it is that you feel, you know, to identify your feelings, to connect to yourself and identify how you're feeling and why might you be feeling that way and where is it coming from, and is there something that you need to do, you know, to help yourself feel better? Like, is how you're feeling detrimental? Like, is it a blockage? Is it serving as a blockage? Is it serving as something that is limiting you and holding you back? Because if it is, you know, it's time to discover like, okay, well, how can I turn this all around? Like, what belief do I have around this thing? Where is this blockage stemming from? And it's really taking that time to work on yourself and to work on your internal space, you know, because this is where peace comes from. This is like where your well-being comes from. Nothing externally to you could ever make you happy, could ever fulfill you. There's always going to be something missing, because that missing piece needs to come from yourself, from inside. That's why they say happiness is an inside job. So doing that internal work and making time for it and prioritizing it and deeming it as important, just as important as building up in this material world, is needed, is necessary for us to be happy and be fulfilled and be whole, you know, be our best self. And that's what I'm seeing, is like people really working on themselves, taking the responsibility, working on their emotional internal space. And because you're taking the time to do that, it's like you're creating a balance between your material world and your internal world. And it's helping you to show up just better in your material world, where you're just much more confident and you're able to do your duties and do what you're responsible for happily, you know, happily and peacefully, which is amazing, you know, because it's like there's no fear here anymore. There's no fear of like, oh, I wonder, you know, like, am I going to be mistreated today? Am I going to be talked down on today? Or I have to like tolerate this person and when they make these remarks. And it's like, no, like knowing like, no, I don't have to take any of that. Or, you know, I know how to handle myself. I know how to respectfully move away from something that isn't benefiting me or supporting me in any way without feeling guilty about it. I know how to identify when I'm in the wrong or when, someone else is in the wrong. It's like knowing how to identify imbalances, and if coming to an agreement is not possible because of, another party or whatever the situation is being able to gracefully just let that go, release that, and be like, okay, I did my part, I did what I could do, and I release this, like if it's not working out for me. And being able to like move through life kind of like with that understanding and with that confidence of knowing that you can do that, and that you're in your right to do that, and you should be protecting your space and assessing the situation, is going to make it easier to come into union with other people, because it's like you're no longer going to take anything that isn't yours to take, or endure anything that is just, it's unfair for you to endure. It's like we're looking for peace, for stability, for harmony, for cooperation, for honesty, to consider yourself, to consider others. And I don't know, I'm just seeing like an energy of really getting yourself to a place where you're seeing things differently, so you're acting differently. It's like you're more calm, you're more at peace, you know what you're working on, you know what your own triggers are. So you're not projecting, you're taking responsibility, you're taking that time to do your internal work. And so naturally you align with people that are like doing the same thing, or that give other people the same space. And so this is really how you like can align with like your tribe, and with those people that are going to support you and love you unconditionally. Those people that you can learn from and experience with and go to places with that you feel really safe with, talking to, expressing yourself, being yourself to, showing them all of like your little silly quirks, being comfortable enough to like show people like the real you, because no one's judging, and like the relationships now are feeling very lighthearted and pure and fun, very balanced. So this is beautiful. This is so gorgeous. I'm just seeing so much balance here, understanding that the spiritual part is just as important as the material part. And when you commit to doing the inner work, the internal work, your material world, it reflects naturally. It's going to, having a really strong sense of self, so that you don't get walked all over. You hold people accountable, but also holding people accountable in a way that's supportive. Like, you know what, I'm going to hold you accountable. You're projecting right now. That's not mine to carry. That's yours to carry. But is there anything I can do for you in this moment to help you, to support you through this? That kind of an energy where it's very harmonious, it's very balanced, it's very considerate, it's very strong within itself, very strong and solid within itself, but also very loving and very compassionate and understanding. So I feel like this is the recipe, like the formula for harmonious, good relationships, where two solid people, or two or more solid, responsible people, come together to truly be there for each other, to truly cooperate, to truly listen and support each other through whatever is needed, and who can really have fun with each other and like encourage each other's uniqueness and artistic creativity. That crazy idea that you have, you're going to have someone that's going to like love it, and that's going to like tell you to go for it. It's amazing. So it is a time to share, for social interaction, and to kind of like bounce ideas off of each other, or concepts, or just have really meaningful, deep conversations, and talk about, philosophies too, and spirituality. So I also think it's a time where you're going to start like seeing other people's perspectives, and seeing what works for other people, or how other people like experience, or what they do, how they live, like what they live by, or how they cope with certain things. Or like it's a time to just really be curious about other people and their experiences, and can you learn anything from them. The pool is turning on. I don't know if you can hear like the bubbles, but that's the pool over there. But yeah, it's like a time where to bounce, like I said, to bounce ideas off of each other, to give advice, to receive advice, to get curious about like what other people are doing, other people's ideas, how they perceive things, their perspectives, their philosophies, their practices, and just really coming together and sharing and expanding in that way. This is really beautiful. It really, really is. Because I think a lot of people do obviously experience like troubling times within group dynamics or within relationships, because relationships is what like holds up a mirror and shows us what we need to see about ourselves and helps us to understand ourselves more clearly. That's like the role, a big role of relationships. And that can be difficult a lot of the times, especially if there's like conflict and tension and disagreements and like people not accepting each other, or people not giving each other space, or not respecting your space, or telling you to move in this direction when your heart is telling you want to go in that direction. So I just feel like we're really getting the tools that we need and taking that time that we need to like work on ourselves, to make ourselves strong from the inside out, so that we can show up in a way that's going to be more supportive to harmonious relationships. And you know, when you do this work on yourself, you're naturally, like I said, you're not going to tolerate anything less than like loving people and supportive people. So it's really kind of aligning yourself and coming closer to those higher vibrational relationships that are really going to influence you for the best, okay? So I feel like for many of you guys, there could be people coming in, like a lot of different people that you're meeting, that are giving you like some kind of really good advice. So pay attention, listen, be curious, you know, get curious about other people's experiences. Remember, it's about being curious. Don't judge people, even if you don't agree or whatever the situation may be, you know. It's just like being curious enough to listen, to have an open ear, and to discern whether or not that's for you or if it's not, but not to pass any judgment, you know, to let people be where they are and be who they are and live their life in a way that feels good for them without needing to judge them or put them down or anything like that, you know, because I'm sure that that's what we all want. We all just want like a supportive community that we can express ourselves to and just be our full selves to and feel completely accepted by and supported and loved by. So you're basically just creating those circumstances, that environment for these types of relationships to come into your life, these higher vibrational kind of relationships, these really loving and supportive relationships where everyone has something to contribute, something to give, and it doesn't feel draining. It doesn't feel like you're giving, and no one is giving or pouring back into you. Okay, so if that's how you're feeling, it's time for you to, you know, retreat, step away from that, rest, take time for yourself, prioritize yourself and your energy and how you feel, because this is going to create the space and the time and the energy for those people that do love you and those people that do see your strength and your power and do see your value and want to talk with you and want, you know, your opinions. They want your inputs as well because they value it. It's like you're making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the best of the best, whatever that is for you. Okay, you guys, so that was our full moon message. I truly hope that these messages have served you and that you got something out of this. This is such great energy. I truly hope you guys take advantage and tap into it. Enjoy this time, you guys. Take good care of yourselves and nourish those relationships that are worthy of nourishment and of your tender love and care. So much love, big hugs, and until next time, bye.